Welcome to The Insider, the official podcast for the City of Murfreesboro. I'm Mike Browning. Our topic, flashing yellow lights with Traffic Engineer Ram Balachandran. Ram, you're also the Deputy Transportation Director for the City of Murfreesboro, and how long have you been here?
I've been here for 22 years.
That's a long time to be dealing with traffic.
Yes, sir.
And have you seen it grow tremendously in that 22 years?
Absolutely. It has grown almost doubled. When I first got here, there was only about 64 signals, and now we have about 160 signals. So yes, we have grown quite a bit.
Where were you before you came 22 years ago to the City of Murfreesboro?
I was in Louisiana. I worked for the Louisiana Department of Transportation, graduated from LSU, worked for Louisiana DOT for about 7 years before coming here.
If somebody said, so what's the goal of a traffic engineer, what would you say?
To move traffic efficiently. But I think some will say, just move traffic.
Because it's a challenge in
That's
Murfreesboro
why.
with all the volume of traffic.
That's correct.
Do you ever think about how in some larger cities where there's even more traffic than we have, people have grown more accustomed. If you live in Philadelphia or New York, you're going to have traffic congestion. But here in Murfreesboro, we have people who maybe grew up here when it was only 30,000. And now they're seeing this traffic grow, and it's growing in every direction. It's more of a challenge for those folks.
Absolutely. I think it's more a function of growth. Philadelphia being a big city, people perceive and understand and tolerate that congestion, whereas smaller cities like ours, with the population much smaller than the Philadelphia's, tend to expect more movement in our roadway systems because we are not as congested, not as tight, that the buildings are not tight, no sky-rise buildings in the downtown area, that kind of stuff. So it's a relative thing. I think it's a perception and relative, but regardless, I think traffic engineers face the most critical thing that a traffic engineer faces is to move traffic in a timely manner because you don't want to sit on a bumper-to-bumper traffic.
We don't like to wait, that's for sure. So why did the City Transportation Department decide to initiate a test of the flashing yellow light on Lytle Street?
The last several years, we had our eye on this newly adopted display of the traffic signal for left-turning traffic because the green ball was always confusing. Because when they see a green, they think they can go without realizing that the left turner has to yield to the oncoming vehicular traffic and pedestrian traffic. So FHWA back in the early 2000s have been doing some research, and in 2009 they adopted this flashing yellow arrow, which is a display for the left turn approach. A flashing arrow when it's a permissive movement. So it differentiates the green arrow, which is protected. They can go without yielding, and then followed by the flashing yellow arrow where they'll have to yield to the traffic, to the oncoming traffic.
How do you think this might change traffic flow? Or will it really change anything other than the way the community looks at it?
We strongly, especially the traffic engineers and in the traffic world, we feel that this is going to reduce some confusion between the green ball, when to do a permissive move with a green ball and a protected move with the green arrow. So I think this is going to help and reduce traffic conflicts and accidents.
You mentioned the name of the organization that apparently studied this. Can you repeat that? What was the name of that?
The Federal Highway Administration does a lot of research on all kinds of transportation-related subjects. And it's lessons learned, and new ideas are sent to the FHWA head office where they will review and adopt as a policy and incorporate that in the manual on uniform traffic control devices.
And so they have already studied this and then distributed that information to the localities. But now you are deciding that, yes, this approach is probably one that we should try.
Yes, we felt in the last few years we are seeing more and more of our sister cities around the nation actually that are slowly adopting or programmatically incorporating this new display, which consists of the flashing yellow arrows. So we felt that let's do a pilot, let's do a test to familiarize the downtown Murfreesboro motorists of the new and see the comments, see if they have any questions before we incorporate them on higher speedway and higher roadway classification intersections.
So the downtowners are kind of the guinea pigs, so to speak, for this program. What do you foresee happening in the future if you feel like everything is going well?
Yeah, so far we implemented in the mid-June, and we have got some good comments. We have not had any negative comments yet, or people calling and confusing about the flashing yellows. So we feel that now we are ready to incorporate them on upcoming projects. I think we will start off with, say we have a signal improvement project, and I'll give you one example. Rutherford Boulevard, the signals along Rutherford Boulevard, we have a project to improve them. And during that time will be the best time because we are, upgrading the signal elements at the intersection. So that will be a good time to incorporate flashing yellow arrows along those corridors. So we're going to do that corridor by corridor. We don't have an exact timeline, but as we move forward, we will programmatically try to incorporate the flashing yellow displays at these signals.
How does a system like this, or anywhere in the city, connect to the other locations throughout the city?
The signals, especially on the major corridors, are interconnected. We call it interconnected with fiber optic. That means, just to put it in a simpler term, those electronic devices are talking to themselves in electronic world, in electronic language, and reporting back that information to a center, which is our city hall. So about 75% of our 160 signals are interconnected, and the information from those signals are brought back to a traffic management center at the city hall.
Most people listening or watching on YouTube are probably unaware of the system and the way it looks here at City Hall. There may have been a few people that have been able to see it, but it looks a lot like a TV studio with multiple monitors, and there's someone usually up there helping monitor that system. Can you explain that a little bit, what it's called and what the goal of that kind of system is for the city?
Yes, absolutely. In fact, we were the first city in the state of Tennessee, early 90s, to actually, and we were pilot, it's a TDOT, a federal funded project, to pilot a traffic management center. I call it Traffic Operations Center, so that we can see what's going on at the intersections by the use of traffic cameras. So we placed CCTV cameras along major corridors strategically at the intersections so that we can see traffic coming and going out of the downtown area, from the downtown area. So we took the core area as the downtown area, and then we looked at all the major arterials like Church Street, Broad Street, Old Fort Parkway, and Memorial, and put cameras along those roadways so that we can see traffic coming into the downtown area in the morning and traffic leaving out of the downtown area, and to give a good idea of the progression of traffic, bringing traffic during the peak hour to and from all these intersections in the city.
The other thing we should mention is that it's open and available to the public to view.
Absolutely. Our CCTV cameras are available on YouTube. Actually, you can go to YouTube and click on the City of Murfreesboro traffic cameras. You can see a live video of what's happening at each one of those intersections. Now, they rotate. They are timely because of bandwidths. They rotate through all the 32 or 40 cameras that we have, showing each one of those intersections. So, you have an idea of what's happening, out in the field.
What's the benefit to the city of being able to see that? How do you use it?
We televise those footages during the AM and PM peak hours so that motorists have an idea if there are any incidences on the street. Sometimes they can even plan if there is, any kind of issues. They can look at the cameras and to see where they are going and see if there are any traffic backups, if there are any incidences or anything like that. We also have them on YouTube where they can see those things. And how it helps is to give informed, timely, real-time traffic information to the general public.
So that's for the public, but for the engineers and the technicians, do you all use it to make adjustments in the timing of systems and signalization?
Yes, it plays a crucial part in our day-to-day operations because we get a lot of phone calls, folks telling us that a signal is not working correctly, but they don't articulate to us what that problem is. So this gives us a pair of eyes in the field. That way we can actually go and pull an intersection, camera at that intersection, and look and see what's going on with the signal so that we can identify the problem and then take care of the problem in a timely manner.
TDOT has been involved in a project on I-24, which our viewers, of course, are very much interested in that, especially those that commute to and from Nashville or from Murfreesboro to Nashville. That system is somewhat of a signalization system as well, or it will be when they finalize it, and it will be connected to our system?
That's right. It is a smart corridor. That means if there is an incident anywhere along I-24, then the traffic that is blocked due to that incident is being diverted to Northwest Broad Street. So the signals all along Northwest Broad Street have been upgraded to accommodate not only the timing, but special timing plans are being formulated to help divert some of the traffic that are blocked on the interstate due to a crash or due to an incident along the Northwest Broad corridor. So yes, it's very similar, and it is with the use of ITS equipment like this, intelligent transportation systems, using cameras, fiber optic communication between the signals, and traffic sensors, knowing where the traffic is heavy and where the traffic is lighter so that we can allocate appropriate green times to get the traffic through those intersections.
What are some of the other ways, either methods, new technology, signalization, that the city is either thinking about doing or in the process of establishing or imposing on our roadways to improve traffic flow?
Yeah, sure. One good example is I just mentioned earlier, the Rutherford Adaptive System Project. It's very interesting because it will be real-time traffic management. That means that there are cameras, there are radar and video cameras placed at these intersections to monitor traffic, see where traffic is heavy, which lanes need to be, to be addressed, and then dynamically changes the signal timing or the splits at this intersection to accommodate varying traffic volumes at the intersection.
Is that on Rutherford Boulevard?
That's on Rutherford
And are you
Boulevard.
still in the process of installing that system, or is it installed?
No, we are in the process of installing that system. The project has not been bid yet. We are in the final stages of that project. It will be probably bid in about a 6 month to a year's time.
And there will be, a dozen or more cameras in that system, or how many?
There will be about a little over a dozen cameras placed at each one of those intersections between Highway 231 and Memorial Boulevard, all along Rutherford Boulevard.
So when will that then be, you may have just mentioned that, but once it's bid and then installed, when do you hope to have that operating?
Yeah, the installation will take at least a year to 18 months because a lot of the equipment have been dated, so that has to be upgraded. The construction activities itself, some installation of the new poles and the cameras will take some time. So we feel that it'll take about a year to 18 months for constructions. And then once it's implemented, we will implement new timing to accommodate with the new signal equipment to accommodate the adaptiveness of that system. That means identifying which lanes are occupied, how much allocation of green time, and this will happen dynamically. That means a physical person doesn't have to run to the intersection and make those modifications. The signal intelligence will take care of those kinds of timing changes based on the traffic volumes in the field.
Before we wrap it up, I would be remiss if I didn't talk about your weekly traffic construction changes that you put out every Friday. I've forgotten exactly what that's called. Some people refer it to Ram's traffic.
Yes, it's road closure reports.
Yeah, it's basically road closures, but a lot of it has to do with either pavings or construction that is occurring throughout the city. And often there are as many as a dozen to 24 projects ongoing where people see barrels, especially during the summer where there's construction. And you see all those. You see a lot of that every week where you have to send that information out. We post it on Facebook. You send emails out to people who want them. What's the type of question or complaint that you typically get about traffic?
I think Murfreesboroans, know that there's going to be construction activities, but I think the information has to be accurate. So the complaint I get is, sometimes contractors will say, okay, I'm going to have a lane closure on Rutherford at the intersection of Halls Hill Pike and Greenland Drive. That comes, on Monday, starting Monday through Friday. And what happens is the contractor's equipment breaks down, or the contractor is unable to, do that work, but the notice has already gone out. And the information, people read that information and say, okay, I'm going to avoid Rutherford, and then later they find out that there was no closure, or the vice versa, when the report says that there is no road closures and there is road closure. So I think it's more getting the information as correct as possible, as best as we can, and we send them out on Friday evening so that folks during the weekend, when they read the paper or read the news, are able to make plans for the following week. Come Monday, what roads will be affected, so they can change their routes to work and or anywhere they're going. So the most important, Mike, that I struggle with is getting good information from the contractors and making sure that that information goes to the general public, so that they can rely on the information and not, have information that is not accurate.
And that's always changing, so that's a big challenge for you and even for the contractors, construction people, because weather delays things, materials delay what can happen. It's not as smooth every day as people might assume.
Yes, in the construction world now, with all the utilities and all the obstructions, that we have to go through, both aerial and underground, all the conflicts, it's very unpredictable. But we can only do so much, and we are doing our best to provide good information. And we are now, with these cameras that we have on street, the motorists can also make their own decisions by looking at these tools that are available. Like I said, on YouTube, they can look at our roadway systems. On our website, there are projects lists that they can go and look at and get an idea. And then they can call and see, hey, what's going on here? Because it says road will be closed, or this, will be closed for a week. What kind of work are they doing? So that they can appreciate and understand why there was a need to close, that road, and what detours are available to accommodate that closure.
Well, Ram, thanks a lot for being our guest on The Insider. And this is an issue that, everybody is impacted by. So there's not a soul out there that probably doesn't drive on our roadways.
Thank you, Mike. Glad to be here.
We've been speaking with Ram Balachandran, the traffic engineer for the City Transportation Department. The podcast is originated from City Hall. Thanks for listening via Podbeam, Spotify, Apple Podcast, and Amazon Music Audible. You can also watch Insider on YouTube. Our producer is the award-winning Michael Nevels. For more information on the City of Murfreesboro, visit murfreesborotn.gov. You've been listening to The Insider, the official podcast for the City of Murfreesboro. I'm Mike Browning. Thanks for joining us.